piece that sticks up right there. I should turn that off.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. Happy National Championship Monday. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's good to be back in the saddle again, as the great Steven Tyler once said. My name is Rob Brown. The pleasure is mine, though not exclusively, because as always, I am joined by my co-host, my partner in crime. He is the great one, the alpha and the omega of the fan upstate. Hashtag Dad Kicks, Colonel Grudge, the conductor of the symphony of sound that is the Rob Brown Show. The great one, Lonzo, is on the other side of the board and playing like a champion today.
Yeah, well, it's allergy season. Let's get warm. Let's get cold. Let's get warm. Let's get cold. Okay. Can you do? What an awesome football weekend, though.
What an awesome football weekend it was indeed in the National Football League. Playoff brackets are officially set.
Wonder what that other show is going to talk about.
Don't know, man. I mean, it's also, in fairness, it is National Championship game day in the world of college football. So,
okay, so they got that. But tomorrow, Wednesday. Wednesday, they're going to start struggling.
I don't want to give any major plot points about the show today away, Lonzo, but we are also going to talk about the national championship today.
Yeah, but we're not really qualified, so we're just going to guess.
I mean, if I can be real with you for a second, after the playoff games last weekend, I kind of feel like everybody's guessing today. I really do. I kind of feel like everybody's guessing today. TCU is the largest underdog in the history of the college football playoff. They are the largest championship underdog in this millennium so far. That's a lot, 12.5 points. On the flip side, they were, 9.5 point dogs, 8.5 point dogs to the University of Michigan. And that worked okay for TCU. On the flip side, most of us, not all, most of us, I think most of us kind of feel like Georgia's better than Michigan. Although there was a thought I had about this game that I wanted to get to. What the heck? Let's just jump right in, shall we? No fun and shenanigans on this show. It's all business from the get-go. It's a very, very serious enterprise we're undertaking here. No jokes.
I'm slow today. I'm not. I mean,
sorry, we're gonna get you.
We know that.
It's early, man. It's early. We gotta. It's the warm up phase of the day.
You're diving into the deep end. I already bumped my head on the shallow end because I didn't read the sign that said "Don't dive here."
We'll see. We'll get Lonzo caught up eventually. So here we go. TCU versus Georgia is going to be won and lost with Georgia's pass block versus TCU's pass rush. And here's why. Go back to that Michigan game. Look at that Michigan game and recognize that Michigan lost the game based on the pick sixes. That's what cost them. Defensive touchdowns ended up doing in the Wolverines. If it wasn't for McCarthy on, what was it, the second possession? Yeah, first possession was when they went Philly special on 4th and goal from the 2, and it failed miserably, which I broke down in the Rob Brown Breakdown. You can still scroll back. Go to the Facebook page at facebook.com/thefanupstate. Scroll back to last Wednesday or Thursday, or just go to the video section and you'll see it. It was the 2 pick six that were given away on top of the fumble that was given away by Michigan that cost them a 51-45 decision to TCU. They had J.J. McCarthy throw the ball 34 times. That was 5 times more than Max Duggan threw it in a pass-predicated TCU offense. And before you say it wasn't, keep in mind that Kendre Miller, who was expected to be the workhorse for TCU, carried the ball a grand total of 8 times in that game. Granted, he averaged 7.1 yards a carry, but he ran the ball 8 times. Amari DeMarcado got 17 totes in that game for $150 and a touch. Anyway, Michigan threw the ball 34 times they threw the ball. 2 touchdowns, but also 2 touchdowns going the other way on pick sixes. Here's the number that I kind of found interesting. In passing scenarios, the Georgia Bulldogs are the 7th best team in college football in terms of pressures allowed. There were only 6 teams that saw their quarterback be put under fire more than the Georgia Bulldogs. TCU, and there is a reason for this, I'll get to it in a moment. TCU, in terms of successful pass rushes, was the 100th best team in college football. All but 27? 31, whatever the number is. All but 30 other teams in college football were better at getting to the quarterback over the course of the season than Texas Christian University. But keep in mind, as I have mentioned, that is not how TCU's defense is set up to run under Sonny Dykes. TCU runs a light box defense. You're going to see 3-3 more than you're going to see anything else. If you put their back against the wall in the red zone, they'll take one of the outside out of the 3-3, one of the outside backers, walk them up to one side. They'll bring the nickel cornerback up, walk them up to the other. It will give you the impression that it's a 5-2 goal line defense. But those 2 guys off the edge are effectively contained men. Don't let anybody cross your face. If somebody does, go with them. TCU's defense is predicated not on get to the quarterback. TCU's defense is predicated on we are going to take everything away from you, and you will have to do something special to beat us. Which is why this offensive v defensive matchup is really, really interesting to me. Really interesting to me. My man Brandon says, we just got to run the damn ball. Run the goddamn football! Brandon, I actually don't think that is the case. I actually think you open up the offense. Here's what I don't want to do. Do you remember what Michigan did that caused a problem for them late in the game? They let TCU jump out early by playing TCU's game. TCU is going to dare you to throw the football, but there's a reason for that. And the reason for that is they got no pass rush, but they haven't really faced a ton of elite quarterbacks. While we talk about the 2 pick sixes for Michigan, and I'm bad at math, but the final score was 51-45. If I take 14 off the board in terms of pick sixes, pretty sure TCU loses that game to Michigan, right? Again, bad at math. But I'm pretty sure if I take 14 away from 51, it's less than 45. It's not that you can't throw the ball. And by the way, Georgia has more talent than Michigan in terms of ball catchers down the field. I think what you need to do is maintain that offensive line. TCU does not have a good pass rush. They are very average, and more often than not, they're going to bring 3+1. You're going to get the 3 at the line. They're going to bring 1 extra from somewhere else. You know what the best way to beat a very, very disciplined college football defense is? With a very, very disciplined college football offense. The only thing that beats discipline is more discipline. That's it. So if I'm looking at Georgia in this, the offensive line is going to be under pressure. Not in terms of pressure coming from TCU's defense, more along the lines of if you make a mistake offensively, TCU will take advantage of you. That's what they did against Michigan, right? J.J. McCarthy early in that game made a mistake. He misread a defense. And again, Stet Bennett, whose best football has come in big games, right? Stetson Bennett's best football did not come in the regular season against Missouri. The 2 best games Stetson Bennett has had, arguably, were against LSU in the SEC championship game and Ohio State in the semifinal game. And I'm not talking about spectacular numbers. I'm talking about managing the game, taking care of the football, and allowing the guys like Brock Ewers to do what the guys like Brock Ewers need to do. That's what Stet Bennett does. Discipline. Don't get caught out of position. If they throw an exotic blitz at you, if they're bringing guys from the outside, make sure your assignments are taken care of. Make sure you know exactly where the football needs to go. Don't force anything. If you find yourself in a crap situation and you are under pressure, throw the ball 19 rows deep into the crowd. TCU is not going to out-athlete the Georgia Bulldogs. They can't, right? I heard somebody say yesterday, I think, and I don't know the exact numbers, Lonzo, but it's close. The Georgia Bulldogs have like 47 football players on their roster that are 4 or 5-star recruits. TCU has like 13. It's more than double. TCU is obviously not going to out-athlete the Georgia Bulldogs. What they're going to do is they are going to out-discipline the Georgia Bulldogs. They are going to know the roles on defense. They are not going to fall for false routes. They're not going to get hit with the double move and bite and allow you to go with an easy one over the top. They're not going to fall for play action in a way that pulls defenders off of receivers. They are not going to get in situations where they're out of position and allow you to take advantage of them. You have to recognize that even if TCU is in the right spot, you run your scheme, you run your game, and you beat them strength to strength wherever you're trying to attack. That's how Georgia wins. However, if you don't do that, like Georgia failed to do against Missouri, for instance, TCU is good enough to win this game.
So what you're saying is great coaching can possibly out-trump great players.
It possibly can, 100%. A team being well-disciplined is a direct result of great coaching, right? If you look at the most disciplined teams at any level of football, middle school, high school, college, pro, the teams that are the most disciplined traditionally have guys at the helm that are considered great head coaches. That being said, Sonny Dykes is a very, very good coach. He didn't win Coach of the Year because he's lucky. He won Coach of the Year, an award I said 3 weeks ago he would win, He won Coach of the Year because he's got that TCU team drilled down to where they just do not make mistakes.
If you're a Georgia fan, I hope, or a Georgia player rather, I hope you're not believing all the hype, because the hype coming into the game against Ohio State was none for Ohio State. Georgia was just going to wipe the floor with them and move on to the championship, and that didn't happen. If they listen to the hype about how they're so much more talented than TCU and all that kind of stuff, they could be in for another game equal to what the Ohio State game was. And as we can see, TCU can put some points up on the board, because they definitely did against Michigan, a defense that was supposedly pretty good.
Oh, listen, Michigan's defense is good. Georgia's is better. No. Before the Georgia fans start getting all hype about all of this.
Yes, Brandon.
Before the Georgia fans get all hype, Georgia's defense is better than Michigan's, but not like worlds ahead, right? Not streets ahead. It's better, but not world beaters versus, middle schoolers down the block.
All right. So Brandon on the stream, by the way, you can check us out on the stream on Facebook, on Twitch, on Twitter, on YouTube. You should do that because we're like live all the time. Brandon says Ohio State played their best game in 3 years. Just saying. No, they didn't. Their best game in the last 3 years is when they wiped the floor with the Clemson Tigers. That was their best game in 3 years.
By the way, speaking of big underdogs, weren't you guys like 7.5 point dogs in that game, if I recall correctly?
I believe so.
Yeah, you guys were like 7.5, 8 point dogs in that game. I think y'all were either I think you, Auburn in 2013. I'm going to have to go back and remember. I looked it up earlier this morning. Let me see if I can find that stat again. Largest spread in a national championship game. Here you go. 2022 TCU is plus 12.5. 2002 Ohio State Miami. That was the Willis McGahee game. Ohio State was was plus 11.5 in that one. I think you guys did you guys win that one? My brain just erased itself.
When you win so many championships, you forget. You do. It's just, it happens.
Auburn was an 11-point underdog to Florida State. Florida State, of course, down 21-3 in that game. Came back and won, but did not cover. 2000, Oklahoma was plus 10.5 against FSU. And in 2012, Notre Dame was plus 10 against Alabama. Those are the largest point spreads in college football playoff championships since the turn of the millennia.
How many of those were covered?
I'd have to go back and look.
No, I'm just curious if those big spreads usually pan out.
I'd have to go back and look them up. I don't remember them. I don't remember the exact scores off the top of my head. Let's see. Let's start with the 2002 national championship. No, that's yeah. I'll look them up during the break. I can't do it while I'm on the air. Can't do my own research and host the show. I'm good, but I'm not that good.
Thank you for pointing out my deficiencies.
No, you.
Rob, it is the producer's job to do that sort of thing.
You're not a producer, you're a co-host.
Yeah, but I'm also a producer. I'll look it up in just a moment.
I'll have to go. I'll go figure them all out.
I'm going to blame the snot.
That's fair. That's very fair. I always blame the snot. Yeah, I was correct. Ohio State covered against Miami in the Natty. The final score in that one was 31-24. Buckeyes win despite being an 11.5 point dog in that one. In 2013, Florida State did not cover the minus 11 against Auburn. If you go back to the turn of the century, Florida State was minus 10.5 against Oklahoma. Oklahoma won that one. And then 2012, Alabama versus Notre Dame. Alabama was a 10-point favorite in that one, and they won that one by a final of 42-14. Oh, that was the Manti Te'o game. Because all of the the Notre Dame defense disappeared like Manti's girlfriend. Yuck. By the way, you ever watch that documentary about Manti Te'o?
No, I feel sorry. I can't.
You should. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's kind of it's interesting. I do kind of walk away feeling bad for the cat.
See, I already feel bad for him, so why watch something that will make me feel worse? I don't.
All right. So we got some national championship game day talk. We're going to get to that. In fact, we'll keep with that when we come back. When we come back, I will give you the criteria that TCU need to hit to win the game, and I'll do the same for the Georgia Bulldogs. I told you what I think both need to do. TCU offensively, turn Max Duggan loose. At the end of the day, he's got to have a better day than he did against Michigan. On the flip side, Georgia, I want to see you just go bananas through the air. Keep the pedal to the metal. Don't pull up. All gas, no brakes for the dogs. Let's take a break. We'll talk more about it when we come back. I'm Rob. He's the great one. You're listening to the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I got a text there during the break from the big boss.
You mean downstairs?
No,
or?
the upstairs big boss.
Okay.
Who asked if I said GD on air. And I said, no, I don't.
It's the Richard Sherman thing.
Oh,
it's the Richard Sherman thing.
Yeah. I should probably go tell him that.
Well, the thing is, did he get a complaint about it or did he hear it?
I don't know.
Because if he heard it and he thought it sounded like it, then you need to stop doing it.
I'll ask him. All right, hang on. I'll be right back, guys. Let's come back. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, no, that's exactly right, Brennan. If what's the old phrase? If ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. If my aunt had wheels, she'd be a bicycle.
Don't you wish you were like the guy who invented some of those sayings? I know
'cause
it's not
you
like
don't
one
get credit
dude.
for it.
I know. Yeah, but still. You want to go, that's mine. That was mine.
I've had situations in the past where like things I've said on the air, like catchphrases we've said on the air, I've heard people saying in bars and stuff, but I don't have the ego. I mean, I've got an ego, but I don't have the ego to be like, that guy only said that because of me.
I talked about regret texts Saturday and started getting a bunch of things about regret texts.
Regret text.
Yes. I don't even remember the story, but
there's a good one. If a frog had wings, he wouldn't bump his ass when he jumped. That's a great one. Brandon said our rush versus Duggan is going to be the matchup, and I like my guys in that matchup. Your pass rush, Brandon, statistically, and of course the fireback's going to be, well, we're in the SEC. Statistically, your pass rush is slightly above average. Let's see. Let me pull up those stats because I looked at them earlier. So my guy Brandon lives down in the Florida Panhandle, down in Destin. My very good buddies and listeners. Big Georgia guy. Oof, oof, oof. I don't know why I barked. I can't explain that.
You've said many times something about grown men barking.
I love Brandon.
And now you're on the air barking. What's wrong with you?
I love Brandon. Brandon, I need you to tell the Georgia fans to stop barking in the faces of other adults, please. You know, there's some very obnoxious college football fan bases. I ranked the Miami Hurricanes and the Texas A&M Aggies fans 1 and 2. Aggie fans are very, very nice people, but they're just weird. Georgia fans revel in being obnoxious.
Were you okay with Rick Steiner doing it?
Yeah, I tend to let professional wrestlers get away with a little bit more than I do the guy that I interact with on the street, you know? And the flip side, if I saw a dude walking down the middle of Main Street in an ankle-length black duster, a wide brim hat, and his eyes rolled back in his head, I'd call the cops. You know?
I would not ask for an autograph, but that's just me, I guess.
So I looked up the passing defenses of Michigan and the Georgia Bulldogs because I was very curious as to where they ranked, right? Very curious as to where they ranked overall. Georgia's pass defense, in terms of passing yards allowed, right? In terms of passing yards allowed, Georgia actually ranks below Michigan. Michigan's pass defense was better than Georgia's. But let's also point out, and this is why I said earlier in the show, all of us are going to have an opinion on this game today. They're all guesses, right? They're all guesses. TCU's an absolute wild card. TCU offensively did not do enough, just score-wise. TCU's offense against Michigan did not do enough to win the game. The defense picked them up. The defense chipped in 14. Now, those pick sixes don't happen. Who knows if Michigan scores on those drives? Maybe they get a couple more field goals out of the deal. But 2 more field goals, we're going to overtime.
If you are not a Georgia fan, but you're tired of those same old people in the thing and they win every single time, then you should root for TCU, just for parity's sake. So those guys can shut up. They'll find something else to complain about, but at least they won't have that anymore.
I think if you're Georgia, you copy what Michigan did defensively. But statistically speaking, Michigan is better at it than Georgia is. Michigan's better at it than Georgia is. And so the Michigan game plan, which was effectively disrupt Max Duggan, don't let Max Duggan get into a rhythm, don't let him get comfortable, worked, right? Duggan, in my opinion, was the best quarterback in college football this year. I thought the guy deserved to win the Heisman Trophy. I think C.J. Stroud's performance in the semifinal was absolutely incredible, but start to finish, Max Duggan was my Heisman Trophy winner. Max Duggan against Michigan was less than 50%, 225, 2 touches, and 2 picks as well. Max Duggan did not have a good day against Michigan. He got picked up by 263 yards on the ground, and he got picked up by 14 points worth of pick sixes. Georgia, and this is where it's going to sound awkward, but I mean this. Georgia needs to do what Michigan did, but you've got to do a better job against the run, right? Disrupt the pass, but don't do it at the expense of backing off your run defense. Don't over blitz. Don't send too many guys off the edge. Because if you run off the edge, then DeMercado and Miller can take it right off tackle, bounce it up the gut, and have a couple of big runs. Remember, they did that late. In fact, what was it? TCU's last touchdown was a screen that went, 67 for a touch? That play worked. In fact, I may even go back and break down. I may do a Rob Brown breakdown tonight before the Natty gets started. That 67 yard touchdown happened only because Michigan got into a spot where they were trying so hard to disrupt the rhythm, the timing, the chemistry of Max Duggan that they weren't playing discipline. TCU was able to get somebody out into the flat. Michigan had dumped off with the deep routes. There was nobody there. It was over-aggression, ruthless aggression by Michigan's defense that opened up the floor. Georgia, stay home. Trust your big guys to get hands up and around Max Duggan. Stay home. Play your assignment. Play your assignment carefully. Stay disciplined. Georgia's got the dogs to out-athlete TCU. They had the dogs to out-athlete LSU. They had the dogs to out-athlete Tennessee. They had the dogs to out-athlete a lot of good teams. And they've got the dogs to out-athlete TCU as well. And in case anybody is confused and wondering, I'm picking Georgia in this game. I am picking TCU to cover. 12.5 is a big spread. Lonzo, you and I learned a lesson, and granted, it's the NFL, not college ball, but you and I learned a lesson during our Boo Box Bet segments earlier in the year. If there are 2 digits next to an underdog in a game that matters, take the dog.
Yeah, I learned a lot of lessons during that time that I'd rather not revisit.
You look good in maize and blue. Or you would look good in maize.
Oh, because don't you put that on me. I did have to wear the stinking orange.
You did have to wear the orange and
but
white.
Not the maize and blue.
Sell out. Oh, excuse me. Do not sell out. Play your assignment. Don't get drawn out. That's the other thing Sonny Dykes is going to do to you. He's going to be looking for spots where guys are getting over aggressive. He's going to look for spots where guys are getting out of assignment. He's going to look for spots where defensive ends are crashing the line, and he's going to get across your face. He's going to look for spots where linebackers across the middle are over pursuing backs out of the backfield and try to work a backside tight end into that zone when it clears out. This is one of, and I don't say this with disrespect to anybody else Georgia's played, but this game is one of very few that I think Kirby Smart has a guy across the football field from him that he can't just out-coach. I'm not going to say that Kirby Smart straight up out-coached Brian Kelly, but he did. I'm not going to say he out-coached Josh Heupel, but he did.
Did he out-coach Ryan Day? No, he did not.
No, he did not out-coach Ryan Day.
The kicker hit the worst kick in the history of mankind.
Oh, God. Our boy Joey B in the stream said it looked like when they bring a fan onto the field to kick a field goal for a $50,000 prize. I've seen guys out of the stands get closer than that. That was rough. Rough. Anyway, if you are Georgia, if this was a game that gets played out on paper, the athletes alone get you 5.5 in Vegas. Just having the dogs. You're not getting any points in that spread for coaching. You're getting points because TCU gave up 45 to Michigan's offense, and your offense is better than Michigan's. But your defense is effectively the same as Michigan's. And TCU dumped the half-century mark on them. Offensively, go big time. Don't let up. All gas, no brakes. Full sand, no mercy, whatever dumb little catchphrase you want to use. That's what I want. I want Brock Bowers. I don't want Brock Bowers blocking in this game. Every pass play, I want him out on a route. Up top, underneath, inside, outside, dumps. I don't care. I want Brock Bowers outside. I want Brock Bowers on a route every single pass play. And I want Stet Bennett to throw the football, 45 times in this game. I think Stet Bennett, who, by the way, as I mentioned earlier, Stetson Bennett has consistently played his best football in the big games. Stetson Bennett, especially if he wins this game, to a lesser extent if he doesn't. But if Stetson Bennett wins this game, like him or not, he is going to go down as one of the greatest stories in the history of college football. He's just a great story. But Stet Bennett has played his best ball in big games. CJ Stroud against Georgia, I genuinely believe, Lonzo, likely made himself the number 1 overall draft pick in this draft. The Chicago Bears ended up with the 1 pick because the Houston Texans can't even get losing right.
I was going to say, can you guarantee that? Because Chicago don't need a quarterback.
They don't. You know who does? About 5 other teams.
A lot of other people, yes.
And I'm telling you right now, for CJ Stroud, I'll guess the compensation right now, Lonzo. First round pick this year, first round pick next year, second round pick this year, fourth round pick next year. That's the minimum compensation package. And then it's going to depend on how many teams want in on CJ Stroud. Chicago's moving back. They will have a first rounder. They will have an extra first rounder next year. They'll pick up a second this year and at least the fourth next year, maybe more. But as good as CJ was, CJ Stroud was 23 of 34 for 348. You know what Stetson Bennett was in this game? 23 of 34 for 398 and 1 fewer touchdown. Everybody has, and again, rightfully so, talked about how electric boogie woogie woogie CJ Stroud was in this game. Stetson Bennett threw for 50 more yards, had 1 fewer touchdown, and one more interception that could be argued was an NHF. Not his fault. Stet Bennett did almost everything that CJ Stroud did. The only difference was CJ Stroud put up 34 yards on the ground, and Stet Bennett, sacks included, was minus 18. If you include in total yards accounted for, if you include CJ's 34 rushing yards to his 348 through the air, and if you include Stet's minus 18 rushing yards to his 398 through the air, they had almost an identical day. CJ's being talked about as teams are going to be fighting for the number one spot to get CJ. Stet Bennett is still being told, we don't know if you're good enough. Dude's got a ring. He's got 2 SEC titles. He's got 2 semifinal victories, and he's still being told, you're not good enough. Oh, that's right. I forgot. Good call, Skrilla. Stet did have a rushing touchdown. So the same number of touchdowns accounted for, with the rushing yards added or detracted, the same number of yards as CJ Stroud, and an identical completion percentage. The only thing that CJ didn't do was throw a pick. Stet threw one. An NHF, in my opinion. Turn Stet loose, Georgia. Turn him loose. Let him throw it 40 times. You're going to get your rushing yards. You're going to get them. They're going to be there. TCU's interior defense is going to give you 2.5 to 3.5. What you don't want to do is you don't want to get into a back and forth scoring battle where you're giving TCU extra opportunities. Go step on the throat with a hobnail boot. Go out there and wreck them early. Michigan allowed TCU to jump out. Not only don't let them jump out ahead of you, don't let them hang around. TCU gives me the vibes of that squad that if you let them hang around for 3 quarters, they're going to shock you in the 4th. Don't even let them be close. Georgia needs to boat race the Frogs out of the gate. That being said, defensively, you better find an answer because I don't see Max Duggan having back-to-back bad games. The only difference, and I do think it's a big one, Georgia's been here before, literally last year, most of this offense with him. TCU is swimming in the deep water and has never been in it before. We got more college football talk. Second hour of the show, we'll get some NFL talk in here. The playoff brackets are out. I got one team that's a heavy favorite I don't love. I got one team that's a big dog that I do. I'll tell you who they are. Bobby Petrino has been hired by Texas A&M to be their new offensive coordinator. Sincere and genuine question. How important is it to you as a fan that your coaching staff be leaders of men, or do you care more about winning a football game? Most of you are going to take the high ground answer, and I'm going to tell you why I don't believe you when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
So Cameron and I were watching the Kansas City game in the Nerd Cave before the show Saturday. Yeah.
What was that?
Don't make me mark it off.
Okay. Nope.
Unless you go talk about it, which you can talk about.
I might talk about it, but I'll leave it.
No. That's fine. I'd rather talk about it extensively because it was awesome. But anyway, Stetson Bennett's picture comes up because they were previewing tonight's game. And Cameron just had a reaction like, what's wrong? He's like, and that guy looks like a jerk. I'd love to punch him in the face. So I'm like, yes. And not had any conversations with him about it at all. And he doesn't listen to the show while he's at work because he can't. So he did not know that I said that on the air. I'm just saying, you could say that it's genetic or But there were a lot of people who agreed with me when I said that before.
No, because you're right. There is. I'll give you the thought on Stet Bennett. I feel like Stet Bennett. Stet Bennett's like Ryan Reynolds to me, right? I love Ryan Reynolds. For a very long time, I really hated Ryan Reynolds. And I hated Ryan Reynolds because, this is pre-Deadpool, obviously. I hated Ryan Reynolds because Ryan Reynolds was bleeping everywhere and incredibly handsome and talented. And it's like, I don't need constant reminders of how this guy is better than me at everything. He's funnier than I am. He's smarter than I am. He's better looking than I am. He's more successful than I am. He's got more money than I'll ever have. He makes more on a movie than I'll make in my lifetime. I don't need the constant reminder of how this guy's so incredible. Stetson Bennett is such a good-looking, athletically talented guy who you are constantly reminded could have been like you and me. Just a guy who wore a mail carrier hat one day. Instead, the dude is a college football legend.
That is not an everyman.
And
Here's what Cameron said. He looks like the bad guy from a John Cusack movie. The guy who is who's rich and been handed everything and is in a rival fraternity where all the rich kids are. That's what he looks like. And he does. And he may not be that way. But
he is definitely not that way.
His expressions on the sideline and when they show him on the bench look just like what you would expect from that kind of guy.
No. Stet Bennett is just a dude.
All right, so
who is
that guy would be your buddy in high school. That guy would be my rival in high school.
Probably. Me and Stet Bennett would have probably been friends.
Because you hung out with the,
But
you
that
know,
also
with the
means that-
affluent, whereas I didn't have any affluent in my school.
So it sounds to me like you're making a judgment call about a human being without knowing him based on other people. That's not fair.
No, I'm making an observation
not
of
very
what
welcoming,
I've seen
Lonzo.
by actions, and dude, I don't care. Gee, me being judgmental. Who would have ever thought that would be?
I'm almost to my 10 o'clock line. I gotta get here by 10 o'clock because the water bottle demands it.
I just finished my 5th, by the way.
And I'm not encouraged because like this is supposed to be an encouraging water bottle, and 10 a.m. just says have some more.
See, I think that it's more difficult doing it that way, but stop slamming it.
You know, I am Lonzo, just having the recognition that I am going to be up 40 to 50 times to pee tonight.
Yeah.
Does that make me healthy?
Yes, it does. Not only are you hydrated, but while visiting the restroom, you're purging your body of impurities.
For those of you not watching the stream, and you should watching the stream. For those of you not watching the stream, and you should. How do I have a job? At Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate or searching and subscribing to The Rob Brown Show on YouTube or Twitch. Myself, the great one, Captain America, Chris Evans down the hall, decided that we would enter a little mostly friendly weight loss competition betwixt the three of us. Now,
It's not friendly.
it's not at all.
It's not, and it's just beginning.
The boat talking began yesterday. Anyway, Rob's been told that the first thing to do is to start drinking. I have to do two things that I have not done enough of. Number one, I have to eat in the morning. I have to put something down in the morning. Because you got to like, hey, body, we're getting food today, metabolize, right? And step two is hydrate, is get enough water. So Rob decided over the weekend that I was going to go get one of these barrel jugs.
Yeah, I've never seen one like that with the levels and all that stuff on the side.
So the one I got has it calls for you to drink 120 ounces of water, which is like 8 ounces. It's less than a Coke can, shy of a gallon of water over the course of the day. And on the side, it's got these lines where it tells you how much you need starting at 8 a.m. at work time, how much you need to drink every 2-hour interval. 8 o'clock, it says ready to go. I'm like 3/4 of the way there, almost to the 10 o'clock line. And I'm like, all right, because I was looking at the backside of the bottle. I'm like, let me hit that 10 o'clock line. It's 9:50. I got 10 minutes to get there. So at the end of this segment, I'll slam down the last 4 or 5 ounces of this. I'm like, let me look what encouraging message the water bottle has for me. It just says, have some more. You're not even close yet, dummy. I don't hate water.
Would you rather say drink the water, fatso? Is that all you got or something like? I mean, I would rather be chided than encouraged.
I don't know, man. Here's what I do know. I'm not one of these guys that hates water. I don't hate water. I did not recognize how much water I was going to be forcing myself to drink today until I got to work and held this 4-pound jug up.
Here's the thing. So when we decided to do this, I knew right away I was going to win. And the way you're talking right now, it makes pretty easy that I'm going to win, because you're like day one of your water and you're already complaining about it. You know, I thought you had a little bit more, but I guess maybe you don't.
Oh, and you're just having a ball over there. Everything's amazing.
I'm trying to figure out what motivates Rob Brown. I think I've got a pretty good idea.
All right. So, national championship game is tonight. I want your picks. I want your picks. I will write them down closest to, I don't know. What do? We do like an extended phone call later in the week. You don't get to host, but you can have an extended phone call.
That's kind of lame doing that. No.
I want your picks.
Hey, if you win, you get a shout out not only from Rob, but from me.
From the great one.
There you go.
Here's what we're gonna do. Get your picks in. I got my handy dandy notebook right here.
You are gonna break something today.
Today?
I'm worried more about today for some reason.
I got the handy dandy notebook. I'm pulling off one sheet, which I unsuccessfully did. I am going to, and then dropped on the floor. I'm going to go ahead and start writing down your scores. If you want your crack at it, winner gets an extended phone call at the end of this week. You can use it for whatever you want. You can bring up any topic you want. You can talk smack at whoever you want. You can compliment somebody if you'd like. Whatever sports topic you want to bring up. Big hockey guy. You can force a little NHL talk on us. Whoever gets the closest to the score will get an extended phone call. If you get it exactly on the money, well, you're probably going to win. If you want to get your prognostication in, do it right now. You can either drop it in the stream comments by going to the stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate or searching and subscribing to the Rob Brown Show on YouTube or Twitch. Or you can text your score prediction to 71307. Start your text with FAN and make sure your name is on it. Make sure your name is on it. Text your score to 71307 with your name, the word FAN starting the text, the score, and your winner. Closest to it gets an extended phone call at the end of the week. Let's take a break. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. Is there a blank sheet of regular white paper over there?
No, what's regular white paper? You mean like? There's some by my desk. Like the second tray down is nothing but paper. Yes. The worst part about having allergy sinus problems is you just want to curl up underneath something and go to sleep. But you know, if you did, you wouldn't be able to go to sleep because of the sinus and allergy problem.
All right, let's see. Put your if you're watching the stream, put your names in the chat. We got Skrilla. Skrilla says 3820 dogs. We got Joey B, who says 3431 Georgia.
Sorry, corporate's removing my stuff again.
Got James G. James says 2421 TCU because I enjoy chaos. I respect that. I got Luke Mills. Luke says 832 UGA. Hudson says 3831.
All right, so where did this thing is so stupid.
Roger put his name but not a score. I need your score, Roger. Kevin H. Kevin says dogs 41-14, the blowout. First big blowout score. My man Brandon. Brandon says 44-27 dogs. And Roger. I got an email Friday, and we have some WWE guests coming on.
Do we know
I'm
which
not
ones
going to
yet?
jinx who it is.
Are they going to be in studio or are they going to be
The first one will be on the they'll all be on the phone or Zoom.
okay.
Two of them will be StreamYard, depending on who we get.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the only one who can't do StreamYard and can only do the phone, I'm not going to jinx it, fella. But I really hope we get him. On the Zoom available will be Solo Sikoa or
Interesting.
your Intercontinental Champion, Gunther.
Really?
Yeah, who I will struggle not to call Walter. Struggle not to call Walter. All right, Roger says.
Well, if you do that, I hope he threatens to slap you.
Well, they'll all be.
To chop you.
I would take one.
I would not.
I would take one.
I would. That's no. You know, I'd rather be slammed through a table than get chopped by Gunther. No,
All right,
thank
let's
you.
see who we got on the chat over here. Thomas.
Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Come on, Rachel. Pull it together.
Thomas is 35-33 TCU.
Author of Overtime on the Michigan Wolverines, John U. Bacon, always has unbelievable insights to offer.
All right. All right, in the chat, if you want to get your score in, now's your chance. Get it done. I don't think we have any identical scores yet. We do not. I have coming via Amazon for both of us. I don't know if you'll use it, but I have one coming for both of us, a ring light to give us actual good stream lighting as opposed to these. And then I wanted your thoughts on this, and I'll ask you guys on the stream, assuming that they'll let me. I would like to blatantly rip off the McAfee show. And I don't know if I can with the mic set up, but have a stand-up desk where I can back up a little bit and actually stand during the show.
Well, so you could do that now. You don't need a desk.
Yeah, but like I have to fidget with the studio set up to do all that.
You've got long arms.
Our numerados of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. Be a part of the show. Jump on board. We'll start with this. I am looking for your score prediction for tonight's college football national championship game. So far, I've got Skrilla, Joey B, James G, Luke Mills, Hudson, Kevin H, Brandon S, Roger Thomas, and Steven all written down. And
Just want to say that sounds like a great crew right there.
that's the I will tell you the folks that are already in, all Armada. All Armada. So far, of all of them, we have 3 TCU, everybody else Georgia. So if you want to get your score prediction in, you can either join us on the stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate or by searching and subscribing to the Rob Brown Show on either Twitch or YouTube, or you can text your score prediction into the show at 71307. Start that text with FAN, then put your score, your winner, and your name. So like FAN, 4237, Georgia, Rob. And closest to the actual final score will get an extended call on the show. Effectively, you will get a segment-ish, where you get to come on the show.
I'm glad
you want.
I'm glad you clarified that, because when you say extended call, I thought you meant like we're gonna have to like 3-way call someone and just talk to them on their phone.
Yeah, man. Like it's gonna be like the 80s, you know. I have a long phone, a cord with a long phone in my room. I'll lay on my
Luke,
bed.
it's Lonzo and Rob from the Rob Brown Show. How you doing?
What you doing? 100% that Lonzo starts that call with "What's up?"
Of course.
Somebody did that to me the other day.
Or I'll,
The other day, like 3 weeks ago.
or when you answer, I'll go, there he
There
is.
he is. There he is. Forgot
And
about that.
I will point in the direction of the phone, since I probably won't actually see you, but you know.
There he is.
So they get to be on the show for an extended. Yeah, okay.
We have got a lot to get into. Let's see. We still got more scores coming in. Here's the other part of it. Just so we're clear, I'm going to need you to check in. I'm not hunting you down if you win. You need to know that you were close. You can come back in and go, "Hey, Rob, did I win?" And I'll say yes or no. But I'm not going to have Lonzo hunting you down to claim your prize.
Yeah, because that would be like my job. I could do that.
Right,
you know,
but we don't want to.
if I find time to get to would just how many times will you mention their name if they win, so that they will know they won and they need to.
Oh, I'll do it every day the rest of the week.
One of these guys wins, they're going to know
Yeah, they'll know.
because they listen all the time.
Yeah.
So.
If you win, I will be saying your name on the air probably once to twice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. You can text and go, did I win? It's so-and-so. And I'll say yes or no. But if you don't check back in, that's on you. It is your opportunity to reach for the brass ring, to step into the limelight, to debut yourself as a member of the Rob Brown Armada and take the upstate of South Carolina by storm, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Let's get some more stuff going in, shall we? We talked a little bit about the Natty, that matchup tonight. The stat that jumps off the page to me, that leads me in the direction of believing that the Bulldogs of Georgia win this game. Georgia was the 6th best team in rushing efficiency allowed when throwing the football in the entire country. TCU was around the 100th best team at creating pressure on the quarterback. They are decent against the run. They are well behind pedestrian against the pass. And that is why I think, as I have mentioned, that is why I think that Kirby Smart goes all gas, no brakes tonight. I think Step Bennett ties his Cobra Kai headband on. I think he takes the script from a Judd Apatow movie and lights up TCU through the air.
Now I can't unsee it. That's now definitely. Now I'm even more rooting for TCU. Thanks.
My man Shane in Duncan's got his score in 41-38 TCU for the dub. So that's another Horned Frog vote. The Horned Frog's picking up some predicts here in the end. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, your National Football League bracket is set. The Kansas City Chiefs, via a little ring around the rosy, go get the dub this weekend. I mean, absolute beatdown to take the 1 seed.
Dude, that was just so awesome. It really was.
That is awesome if and only if you're a Chiefs fan. If you're a Chiefs fan, it's going down in history.
So you think that was a punk move?
No, I just think it was lame.
Why?
Why wouldn't it be?
There's no... Can't be having fun out. It's football. Come on.
No,
you got to take it serious. You can't have fun. You can't do that.
I am a
How
big
dare you
fan.
be creative and have
Lonzo,
fun?
Anybody who's listened to this show for more than 3 minutes knows that if there is one person on the air here in the upstate that is argued for getting rid of all rules prohibiting any celebration at all, it's me. Just why?
All right. So you're one of the only people that I've seen who has a problem with it.
It's not a problem. I just don't get it.
I think you need to describe what happened for people who don't know.
The 11 members of the Kansas City Chief offense.
Listen to his tone.
You asked me to do it. I'm doing it.
Oh, okay.
The 11 members of the Kansas City Chiefs offense got into a perfectly circular huddle and then began rotating that huddle. Ring around the rosy.
No,
pockets full of posy.
It's not ring around the rosy.
Ashes, we all line up.
You ever been on a tilt-a-whirl? Because it was perfectly in sync. If there had been music playing, I mean, that was well practiced. It was perfectly in sync. You who have been to line dancing, I'm sure, and thought it was great.
I'm a secret cowboy.
You have a problem with synced up huddle rotation. I don't have a problem with synced up huddle rotation. I thought it was amazing. And not only that, but the laws of physics, how they exited the huddle was how that would happen. You who watched the marble races during COVID, if you put a bunch of marbles in and they spin around, how when it stops, how they would exit that circle. I thought it was perfect. It really was. I just threw science at you like you throw at me all the time, and I did it well, I might add. And you still don't like it.
Listen, it was synced up. It was, you know what it was? You know what it was? It was a flash mob. All right. You ever seen a flash mob happen?
Not in person. I wish I would love to have been a part of those when those, I think those are amazing, especially the unison, the fact that you can get that many people, together. I mean, it's all about being together, Rob, like this, two hands intertwined.
There are two types of flash mobs, right? I saw one a number of years ago that was put on by the Playground Area Symphony. That is the Northwest Florida Symphony Orchestra, right? It was very cool. It was at an event at an outdoor mall where they were having a big festival. And I know they copied it off the internet, but it was cool. Like one guy came out and he had a cello and he just like sat down and started playing like his cello thing. And then another guy came out with a violin and he added a layer. And then another guy came out with whatever else. And then some guys with trumpets came out and just more people started coming in. And by the end, like the entire symphony orchestra was gathered around this huge area in the middle of an outdoor shopping mall playing music. And I'm like, this is really dope. I've also seen.
Tell me there was just one old guy waiting for his wife to come out of Bed Bath & Beyond, just sitting there like right in the middle of it.
Son of a gun. Now, the best part was they got to the end. The last guy to come out walked out to the middle with cymbals, hit him, and then left. Just that was his whole thing. It was great. Then there's the other flash mob, which is Rob's trying to eat brunch downtown and enjoy his mimosas on a Sunday morning. And out of nowhere come a bunch of dudes in hot pants who start breaking it down in the middle of the road. And I'm like, why is this the place and time? Right? I just didn't get it. But
so this took you back to your boy band days and you were jealous. They were playing games with your heart.
Listen.
You got to watch on the stream because that was amazing. What Rob just did.
Games with my heart. Okay, so I didn't get the ring around the posy, but whatever. They won the hell out of that football game. The Chiefs are going as the 1 seed. Buffalo will fall down to the 2 seed, and they will take on the number 7 seed, the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, number 7. The Dolphins had a 5-year playoff drought with the dub this weekend in perhaps, Lonzo, the only other game that competed with the boat show that was Carolina versus New Orleans for the ugliest National Football League game in a very long time.
That was so much like work.
That game felt like work.
It did.
You are exactly right.
It felt like work. I'm like, man, but I got to do this for work.
Yeah.
And there's so many other things that I would like to do.
That game felt like work. You are exactly correct. That's the bet. I was trying to figure out how to describe that game. That's why you get paid the medium bucks. That game felt like a job to get through. So did Miami, New York. Miami won. What was the final score? 11-6. And it was only 11-6 because the Jets were trying late and they did an old lateral Aruski. And they threw the ball out of the back of the end zone to end the game for a safety. Hashtag bad beat. Mike McDaniels was asked after the game if Tua would be available for this game, and he gave the most NFL answer of all time when he said, his health. And by the way, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it was the script, which it should be. He said, we don't know. Game by game. He's got to get cleared medically before we'll even talk about it. The Bengals fall to the 3 seed. They will take on the Baltimore Ravens. As the 6 seed, the Jags and the Chargers will match up as the 4 or 5 because me. Urban Meyer was the problem. Urban Meyer was the problem. Urban Meyer was the problem.
I could bring in a tambourine for you. I got one at home.
Do you?
Yeah, actually I do. I mean,
I do too.
Yeah, I mean,
A cowbell. And I got one of those.
I got a
things that
cowbell
you-
also.
I got one of those wood things that you rub the stick down the side and it goes.
I got one of those with the metal beads on it thing. I don't
Yeah.
know what those are called. That they look like they got a handle and the
Well, I
metal
got
beads.
maracas too.
Ooh, there you go.
Urban Meyer was the problem. Urban Meyer was the problem. Urban Meyer was.
Wow,
Urban
because the
Meyer was
Jaguars
the
set that game on fire. How'd they win? How'd they win? How'd they win?
Score more points
Yeah, but how'd they win?
than the Tennessee
How'd they
Titans.
win? It wasn't because of someone with awesome hair. They won because of
They won
defense.
because they won on a 5-game winning streak down the stretch.
Hey, good for them.
When nobody said they could do it.
I'm glad they're in. They're going to lose right away, but I'm glad they're in. Good for them.
I like the Chargers. I like Justin Herbert. I got that game circled.
I see it, and it's like it's about time the Chargers are going to win a playoff game, and they're probably looking at it the same way. We're going them cool. We're going to win. We're going to go to the next round. We're going to lose in the next round, but we're going to win that first one.
The Jags win a playoff game. Duval might be a fun place to be for 3 to 6 hours. Then I'd go back to being Jacksonville. Over in the NFC, Eagles get the 1 seed. They get the dub. The Cowboys get to play the Bucs in round 1 in Tampa. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who lost to the Atlanta Falcons to go sub 500 and win the NFC South, are going to host the Dallas Cowboys. I'm circling that one, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm telling you right now, call me on it next Monday if I'm wrong. Tampa Bay is going to beat Dallas at home in Ray J. Brady is going to go back to doing Brady things. They're going to beat Dallas. Why? Because Brady knocking JJ out of the playoffs will be hilarious. Vikings-Giants is a 3-6 matchup, the 2-7. 49ers. How about Seattle sneaking in at the end? Needed a few things to go right over the weekend. Got them all. Seattle's in. Let me get Kevin in here before we run to our first break of the hour. Kev, good to have you back, big dog.
What's happening, man? Hope everybody had a happy New Year and a Merry Christmas and all that good stuff, man. But it's time to get back on it for a little while. I hope Georgia go out here and walk the Pure D dog. But don't get me wrong. As good as those semifinal games were, we got to have something close. We can't have 63-10 tonight. We cannot have that. All those good games, man, we had. We got to have something nice tonight, man. It won't be Vince Young and Matt Lyon at that type game. I wish it would be, but I just want good football tonight. I don't want to blow out.
I don't know,
I just want Georgia to show that they are.
I could get down for Max Duggan v. Stet Bennett in an old school QB gunslinging shootout.
Oh yeah, I'm with a shootout now. I'm with this 38, 37, 51, 52 type game if it goes that way. But we got a upstate guy playing for Georgia, Ty Dawkins, Ingram Dawkins, something like that from Gaffney. So he'll be out there on the field tonight representing the upstate. So I want to see what they got.
All right, give me a score. Give me a score. I got to get the score.
I got 47-33.
47-33 dogs. You just said you wanted a close game and you're giving me a 2-score rundown?
Georgia may end if the way Georgia run the ball, they might just make them like it in the fourth quarter, man, and just like go downhill all game long and just make them like it. But I don't.
Kev, I don't know how much of the show.
Third quarter. Let's say third quarter. It goes in the third quarter, and it's TCU 28, Georgia 26, and they just run off in the fourth quarter.
Okay. I don't know if you heard any of the show
14.
earlier this morning, Kev, but I've said a couple of times, I think Stet Bennett's going to throw the ball about 45 times tonight. I think Georgia is. Everybody's talking about the run game. TCU's got no pass rush at all. I think Kirby Smart sees that and he just turns the football loose tonight.
Just go have a 7-on-7 contest.
Yeah.
Tonight. How about that?
No, that's honestly
7-on-7.
this might be a game where both teams run 90 plays. I'm dead serious about that. We might see a game where both teams run 90 plays because they are both going to be trying to move it through the air and nothing else.
I would love it. Because me being an offensive lineman and loving offensive scores and all that, I would love it. I want to see points. I can't like that 11-6 Miami thing got going on. That reminded me of early 90s football, NFL football, where if we won 10-7, we good. We okay with that.
We're going to find out, Kev. Got the score down, big dog. Appreciate it. Good to talk to you, my guy. Tyrone Ingram Dawkins is the young man from Gaffney, South Carolina. Wearing number 93 tonight, a 6'5", 300-pound redshirt freshman across the defensive line. Keep an eye on that. All right. Looking for your scores. My man Shane and Duncan has his score in. Kevin's got his in. Delano's got his in. Steven's got his in. Looking for yours. Send your score right now to 71307 via text. Start it with fan. Give me your score, your winner, your name. Closest to the final score is going to get to call into the show and get an extended phone call. Not a whole segment unless you are great. If you call in and you're great, you got me and Lonzo laughing and having a good time, you might go the distance. But you got to get your score in now. 71307. Start it with fan. Put your score, your winner, and your name. We'll see who ends up taking home that trophy that is metaphorical. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Pro Football Hall of Famer and three-time champion. Trust me, I know about joint pain.
Pro Football's all-time leading rusher Emmitt Smith talks about chronic joint pain and exciting new regenerative treatments from QC Kinetics.
I know what it's like to fight through pain, but now, you and I, we have help. QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in advanced all-natural regenerative medicine that can give you lasting relief with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Do you suffer with constant pain from arthritis or injury? Pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or lower back? Don't assume steroids, pain meds, and surgery are your only options. Regenerative, restorative, natural solutions are now available.
Don't let your joint pain keep you from doing the things you love.
Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation and learn how regenerative medicine can repair and restore damaged joint tissue.
Make a call to QC Kinetics. Tell them Emmitt Smith sent you.
Call QC Kinetics, 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772.
At Ingles, we know the ever-present struggle of what am I going to make for dinner this week? That's why we started the Ingles Table. It's a website that brings the best chefs and food experts right into your kitchen. You can sort through hundreds of recipes for every occasion, watch how-to videos, and print shopping lists to take to the store. It's all waiting for you at ingles-markets.com. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
What is the most random thing you are afraid of?
I am terrified of getting a paper cut on my eyeball.
That is pretty random. I'm Larry Mullins, the host of a new podcast, Your Weirdest Fears, where we dig into the weird, wacky, the things that keep you up at night, and learn how to survive them. Listen and subscribe on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Is your computer going slow right now?
Sponsored by Great Southern Homes. Today is the day to visit a Great Southern Homes community.
I wouldn't be able to tell.
All designer decorated bottle
My head's so messed up.
Live green, live smart with our energy efficient smart home plans. We have new listings daily. GreatSouthernHomes.com. There are 14 that survive. Everybody else wishes every single plan. There's a chance to go in it all. We plan to win, baby. Let's go. The second season. This time of year, the battle is man versus himself. When I go home, the divisional round. Play next week. The 4 championship games. Trophy game this week. 2 more teams left standing. The Super Bowl. What a football game. They want Super Bowl. The playoffs. Play out the greatest streaming on the planet. On stage streaming on the Odyssey app. Always streaming wherever you are on the Odyssey app. Wake up and
All right, looking for your final score predictions. We got a few it's Monday. Got a few more that have come in over the last couple of segments. If you want to get your score prediction in, now's the time to do it. You can join us on the live stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate or by searching and subscribing to the Rob Brown Show on YouTube or Twitch and leaving it in the comment there. Or you can text your final score prediction into the show at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. I need fan, score, winner, name.
Hey, Rob, when does a few moo become a herd?
I felt like there was a Clemson joke right there for the taking.
Oh, there was, but I didn't go there.
I'm a little shocked by that.
My head's messed up. And actually, I thought about it and thought, no, that's too far. I won't do that.
Zoe, your own team notwithstanding, let's knock the 1 seed out of the AFC. Bills, Dolphins, Bengals, Ravens, Jags, Chargers. What teams you got? What team has the best shot to knock off Kansas City and go to the big one?
Cincinnati, obviously. I mean, because Kansas City hasn't beat them in the last 3 meetings, including one that went to the winner went to the Super Bowl. Now it was a tie and all that kind of, but they still lost. So Cincinnati is the scariest team right now because they're hot. They're that team that started getting hot at a certain point of the season, like they did last year, and they're on fire and they're scary. I'm not discounting Buffalo because they very well could do the same thing, but Cincinnati's the team, I think, in the AFC that you really don't want to play.
Good news for Kansas City is Cincinnati's got to get by Baltimore first. And
you mean the Baltimore team that they just beat like yesterday?
Yeah, but it sounds like Lamar could go in the playoffs. Baltimore, we got to acknowledge that Baltimore with Lamar is significantly better than Baltimore without him, right?
I am curious though, because I haven't looked at how things are. Would Buffalo and Cincinnati play each other before they would play the Chiefs?
Correct.
Right.
Correct. So the good news for the Chefs is that they will catch the winner of LA versus Jacksonville in the divisional round. The winner of Baltimore-Cincinnati will play the winner of Miami-Buffalo, which, again, if we're just going surface level, superficial bets, looks like we get a Cincinnati-Buffalo round 2. Which, yes, please. Yes, please. Joey B versus Josh Allen. Yes, please, and thank you. Winner of that will catch Kansas City in the AFC title game. I'm going Buffalo, man. I like Joey B as a fan of a team that used to always be losers, and now we are losers again. I've got a soft spot for Bengals fans who put up with a lot of Bungles years before they got Joey B. But Josh Allen, and granted, listen, there was a lot of emotion in the building yesterday for Buffalo v. New England, right? Buffalo took the opening kickoff of the first half back for a touch. It felt like one of those games that Buffalo was going to go win about 42-3. But New England hung in there, came back, tied it up at 14. And then Josh Allen did a couple of Josh Allen things. Buffalo got another kick 6 return, and they just ran away from New England deep. A lot of emotion there for Buffalo. I don't know how long, like the ability to ride emotion, I think usually lasts in a game for about a half, in a season for maybe 2 to 3 games, right? And Miami is not fully healthy because here is Tua Tagovailoa still getting repaired after concussion number 3 on the season. He will not. I'm gonna go ahead and call the shot. He's not gonna be available. And with all due respect to Skyler, I don't think Skyler is going to win a QB battle with Josh Allen.
You don't like that name, do you? You don't like the name Skyler.
No, I don't care.
Okay, because the way you're saying, I have a question though, and maybe
I'm saying it. If I would have asked you when Tua went down and Teddy went down, who's next up for the Dolphins? You nor anybody else could have told me it was Skyler.
No, I could not. So I got someone coming at me on the stream, a Bills fan. We'll call him Kevin, and at what point is it okay to go back after someone, a team, with what just happened for Buffalo? You know, I'm trying to be respectful and stay back and not say anything about the team because I don't want it taken the wrong way. Even though Kevin is, we're going to call him Kevin, is coming at the Chiefs really hard as a Buffalo fan. So I am curious with all that happened last week, is it okay to go at that team? Because now America seems to have adopted Buffalo. Is it okay to point out that Buffalo has been to the Super Bowl 4 times in a row and lost all 4 times? Is it okay to point out how bad they've been historically? Is it okay to point out that the fans are not all there, which is not entirely a bad thing? I mean, if you want to go through a table, that's fine. I'll even help you through a table if you continue to talk stuff. I mean, there's things like that. It's just a joke. It's not, and these are all hypotheticals because I don't know if it's cool if I'm allowed to say anything back. He and I have back and forth. That's fine, but I want him to know why I'm not responding right now because I don't know if it's okay to respond.
I thought about that over the weekend.
When is it okay to resume football and all the things that finally go with it?
I on Sunday, the Saints and Panthers were playing. The Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots were playing. And Adam Schefter sent out a tweet that he caught a little flack for. During that game, we talked to you about a second ago, Nyheim Hines ran back the opening kickoff, 96 for a touch. He would do it again after a score. He returned a second half kick for a TD, went a buck and one more for that one. The Bills were actually trailing at that point. Put them in the lead, they never looked back. And Shefty sent out a tweet. In fact, while I'm talking about it, I'm even going to go see if it's still up. Shefty sent out a tweet that said, I'll have to scroll back and see if I can find it. But he sent out a tweet that said something to the tune of Nyheim Hines is trying to do for Buffalo what Steve Gleason did for New Orleans. For those of you that do not remember, here's the tweet. It is still up. He put up the video of the 101-yard kickoff return for a TD with the tweet, Nyheim Hines has tried to do for Buffalo what Steve Gleason once did for New Orleans. Steve Gleason, if you go back to the first game back in the Superdome, September 25th, 2006, that was the first game back in the Dome after Katrina. I was there for that game, Monday Night Football versus the Atlanta Falcons. Michael Vick and company were in the building. Steve Gleason blocked a punt for the Falcons that rolled into the end zone. It was snatched up by Curtis DeLoach, who picked it up for the 6. And Steve Gleason became immortalized in Saints history to the fact that if you go to the Dome now, there is actually a statue outside of the Superdome commemorating that block punt of Steve Gleason. And that moment really kind of became, for a lot of us, the moment that you can circle. This is when the Saints stopped being a poverty franchise and started being a contender. Got one out of it. Could have got more, pass interference. But hey, what are you going to do? Anyway, I didn't respond to that tweet. But I read the responses of people that did. And it was very interesting watching people go through the mental dilemma of trying to compare what happened with Damar Hamlin to what happened to New Orleans after Katrina, right? Because you got Hamlin, who suffered a traumatic accident on the field, died on the field, was resuscitated twice. By the way, did have his feeding tube removed and was putting up social media posts from the hospital during the game, which was badass to see.
And got to talk to the team. And
yep.
Yeah. It was really cool.
Yeah. Very, very cool story. And then, I don't feel the need to juxtapose that with what happened in New Orleans with hundreds dead and millions, if not billions of dollars of people's property destroyed by a natural disaster. But Shefty took some heat. And I kind of got to the point where I'm like, okay, if he FaceTimed, Damar Hamlin FaceTimed with the team, does that mean we can go back to talking about football like it's football now, right? Can we go back to talking about football like it's football? We didn't do that all week, right? In fact, I will even tell you, as a guy whose job is to talk about football, there were points during last week where, like, I want to talk about the NFL. I want to talk about the playoff brackets. I want to talk about trade scenarios. I want to talk about the draft. I want to talk about all of this stuff. But it never really felt like there was a time where I could just rip into some NFL talk and it would be, important. And I guess from a radio guy perspective, and am I making this about me? Yeah, I do that. And from a radio guy's perspective, it's interesting because, and Lonzo and I have said this a number of times, I don't have a ban of politics on this show, but politics is only welcome on this show when it crosses over with sports, right? Sports and politics are not individual bubbles. They're a Venn diagram with a very small sliver of crossover. But we don't get into it all that much because this show is supposed to not be taken seriously. I mean, take it seriously. We're good at what we do, but it's supposed to be a place where you can come and goof off and hang out and escape from real life. And what happened with Damar Hamlin was obviously traumatic. It was a tough experience for I think for everybody, because I think all of us, we all hear the cliches of football's dangerous. It's inherently dangerous. It's violent. The risk is there every time a player steps onto the field. We all think about that, Lonzo, but you don't really think about it until it happens, right? It's like driving a car. We all know every time we get behind the wheel of a vehicle to go wherever we're going, that we run the risk of something terrible happening. But it does. Your brain doesn't think about it until you're driving down the interstate and you see a car flipped onto its roof, and you see an ambulance, and you see a fire truck blocking the scene so you can't see what happened, right? And Damar Hamlin's incident kind of put that knowledge, that reminder that football is inherently dangerous and violent in. We had to acknowledge that. We had to recognize that. We had to rationalize it. We had to deal with it for just a minute. The question is, when does it become appropriate to go back to treating football like a game, right? Can we? Every time we watch football, are we all going? And I asked this question about the Bills. I genuinely was curious if the Buffalo Bills were going to be able to take the field against the Patriots on Sunday, and every time they cross midfield, not see Damar Hamlin laying there, dead, right? Resuscitated, given CPR, put into an ambulance. I wondered if they were going to be able to put that to the back of the brain. How many athletes have we heard of so that they tear their ACL and they're never the same athlete? Because even though it's surgically repaired and it's 95% repaired, you can never cut on that knee again without having your brain go, hey, remember that one time something horrible happened? Remember that? Since I fell off of a stairway railing when I was sliding down on my butt like I've done 1,000 times in my life, since back in April, I fell off backwards, knocked the noggin against the concrete, and KO'd myself. Lonzo, I've never jumped back up on a stair rail because every time I look at one, my brain goes, hey, remember that time you KO'd yourself, idiot?
Dude, you're practically 40. You probably shouldn't have been doing that anyway, but I get it.
My whole life. Never had a problem. Did it the day before at the same building.
And I used to, like the stairwell out there, I would jump all the way down to the next segment all the time and broke my knee, and I never would attempt that again.
But you have these moments where your brain goes, hey, remember when, right? So I absolutely think it is fair to ask the question, when is it okay to talk football again? When's it okay to get back to talking about the sport? And I think the answer was kickoff on Sunday after DeMar Hamlin sent out that tweet, that Instagram post where he said, hey, I'm in the hospital. I appreciate the thoughts. Keep them coming. Go Bills. When DeMar said go Bills, I think we were all there because it is still supposed to be fun and escape, even if there is some inherent danger to it.
But this is something that needs to be addressed because I think a lot of people are in that situation where they don't know, is it okay? You know, I've been making fun of the Bills all my life. Is it okay to do that now? That type of thing. Because you see, as you pointed out, what Schefter got thrown at him. And then this world today is not what it was a year ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago. Things are not taken the same way. So.
Yeah. And again, I don't necessarily think that is inherently good or bad. I think it's just different. But I think acknowledging the danger these men face, that now that we have experienced almost the worst of it, it did something to us. Let's take a break. We'll come back, wrap up this hour on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
By the way, Kevin, I'm not going to give you credit for my face being red. That would be the pain in my head that I've had since I woke up today. Plus, I love my team, but I'm just not. I think I was that guy for a while. I don't think I'm that guy anymore that just wants to fight all the time. You know, maybe it comes with rooting for some teams that win championships all the time. You know, when you do that, when you have a championship pedigree, you really don't need to go down to the level of other people when they're
Down to the level.
Let's go with, wannabes.
Wow.
Wannabes is, wannabe. I want to be like you. I want to be a champ like you. I want to be, that kind of thing. And, maybe someday. I still don't know how to spell it, and I just read it.
Antagonist? No, mother, it wasn't my water. This is my water, which I am now down well below the 10:30 line or the 10 o'clock line.
That's it?
Now I have an hour and 13 minutes to get down to the next line.
You won't. You can't. You can't do it. I mean, part of it is because you're talking a lot, so it's hard, but you got to make up for it during breaks. Like right now, I mean, and I think the straw is part of your problem too.
It's good now. Whatever was wrong with this morning fixed itself.
No, I mean using the straw as opposed to just backing that thing up and
just hammering it.
Yeah. Someone mentioned earlier about smaller glasses. That's the kind of thing I was telling you. I think it's easier to drink.
Boom, 12 p.m. line.
Good for
I'm
you.
ahead of the game.
I think it's easier to drink bottles than it is a big, huge killer bottle.
I think that you know what it is?
And each person's wired differently.
You have probably learned this about me, as have everyone who knows me personally. Lonzo, if the thing I need to get done is not directly in front of my face, I will forget about it.
Yeah, I know.
This cannot be anywhere but in my face.
I got you. What happens if you forget it though?
How many times have you left that office and looked at my desk and there's like 3 bottles half drank on them? It's because I drink the first half and then I put it to the side and then I just forget I had an open bottle. I cannot forget this.
So at what time are you supposed to be done with that water?
8 p.m. I have 12 hours. If I go by the line, I have 12 hours to finish a gallon of water.
And what's the Rob Brown bedtime normally on an average?
2 a.m.
Okay, so you'll be spending all those hours catching up on bathroom time.
Correct.
Obviously, the next segment needs to be pretty short.
Yep.
Chase.com/checkin. Chase, make more what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio, wrapping up our numero dos. Live from upstate South Carolina. Rob Brown, the great Malonzo, you, 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. If you want to jump on board. You can text the radio broadcast as well. Text the show at 71307. I am looking for your scores for tonight's game. Closest to the final score will get an extended phone call at the end of the week. That is to say, you will get to come on the air. I'm not going to give you the traditional 1 to 2 minutes. You're going to get your time to act as a mini co-host. You get to come in, whatever topic you want to get to, we will get to and talk about. It can be whatever you want, with the exception of no politics. And if Alonzo hits the dump button, you're done, right? That's the 2 rules. No politics. And if Lonzo hits the dump button, he will dump your call as well.
Well, that is policy already. But
Right.
yeah, he's right.
Right. So, anything you want to get to.
So don't try to win just so you can come in and try to slip one past
Yeah, it
me.
won't work.
Unless you really hate me and you want me to lose my job, you're still not going to beat me.
Yeah. You're not going to get one by the great one. So if you want your crack at it, if you want to give it a shot, text your score for tonight's national championship game in to 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. Then give me your score, your winner, and your name. And then make sure that you listen through the rest of the week. Make sure you listen through the rest of the week so that if you win, you can claim your crack on the air. All right, cool. Got it. Everybody got it? Good. Natty, tonight, I'll go ahead and put the final score down. Give me, Lonzo, 45-38 Georgia. I'll go ahead and add mine to the list right now. 45-38 Georgia. I absolutely think TCU has got a good enough game plan to put points on the board against the Dogs. I think there is, as we saw, because remember, TCU got told, you don't deserve to be here. You're the redheaded stepchild of these 4. You don't deserve to be here. You're not good enough. It should have been Bama. Michigan's got you, and they beat them. On the flip side, while TCU was being told you don't deserve to be here, Ohio State, as Lonzo, and frankly, well, I love calling out sports fans who have a victimization complex, a persecution complex, right? Who always think, oh, the announcers hate me. No. They hate everybody. You're just sensitive. Lonzo correctly pointed out that exactly nobody was picking or even talking about the Buckeyes. And they gave Georgia everything they wanted and frankly probably should have won that football game. TCU is still, despite winning a semi, being told you don't deserve to be here. There's going to be a little fire with the Frogs tonight. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, it is Bloody Monday in the National Football League, and our first head coach is already unemployed. We had new developing rumors with Sean Payton, with Jim Harbaugh, with 2 different teams, and it all sets up really nice for the Carolina Panthers. I'll tell you why when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Lee says 34-31 TCU.
Check Twitter too when you get a chance.
Yep, we'll do. And Jerry says TCU 41-38.
Hitting the wrong button, Reitzel. It's right next to it.
That's good, James. That's good. I guess I should probably like record the last 4 digits of the phone numbers that are sending these texts in.
Aaron Rodgers said postgame will take some time to contemplate his future. Wildcard weekend begins with Niners, Seahawks, and Jags, Chargers on Saturday. Bills, Dolphins, Vikings, Giants, Bengals, Ravens on Sunday. Bucks and Cowboys on Monday night. The Texans fired head coach Lovie
Got Cole's number. Got him. Got Doug's. Chris.
Kevin Durant gets an MRI today after Jimmy Butler fell into his right knee in the third quarter in Miami. KD left the game shortly thereafter. Nets 2-1 at 102-101. I'm Andrew Bush.
Hey, it's DA. Be sure to listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio.
Kevin. Shane.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies...
Those are on the
QC Kinetics in the first break.
Alrighty then.
So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for.
That's what it says, man. Yeah, I just can't.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Hi, it's Rivers, the owner of Mr. Sparky of the Upstate. At Mr. Sparky, we offer straightforward pricing, giving you options and solutions to the electrical issues you're facing. Plus, safe checks during every visit, membership plans, and in most cases, same-day service. The next time you need an electrician, go to MrSparkyoftheUpstate.com. Remember, MrSparkyoftheUpstate.com.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888
Hey, P1s, it's Batman and 9, the Rise Guys. Get that all-new Rise Guys P1 lager. It's here from Stillhead Brewery.
Now on tap at 1885 Tap Room, 104A, East Curtis Street, Simpsonville, and Miles Pizza Pub, 555 South Pleasantville Drive, Greenville.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating more...
All my Dallas friends are just melting down right now. It's quite incredible.
Personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, an increase in organic search visibility, and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting.
They better send Tom Brady packing. That's all I'm saying.
Every time that Brady moves forward in these playoffs, more and more people are going to start going, uh-oh.
There's not going to be an every time because he's not going to move forward in the playoff. He made the playoff, but he's not moving forward. He got benched yesterday anyway, right?
Brady?
Yes.
I didn't even watch that game. Couldn't have cared less.
I know he left the game.
The DA Show, mornings at 6. Rob Brown Show at 9. The Jungle with Jim Rome, weekdays at noon.
And Offsides with Mark Ryan at 3. Real sports talk for real sports fans.
What? What's wrong?
I can't imagine that was anything other than someone is just absolutely thumping the subwoofers down in the parking lot right now.
Yeah, that happens on occasion. When the weird part's when you hear it in the office. It's like how these people still. I mean, I used to back in the day have my stereo up and stuff, but there is a certain height of low frequency that will cause you to lose your bodily functions. They just need to be careful. Like you with drinking all the water today, probably not a good idea to be anywhere near that.
Oh, I'll be stepping away during the next break as well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to third, the final, the best money hour of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. This is the Fan Upstate. Robin the Great One with you here on a beautiful upstate Monday afternoon. And after about the last week and a half, I'm glad to see some blue skies out there. It is Bloody Monday in the National Football League. And we already have our first victim, the Houston Texans. As I said they would before the year even started, have relieved Lovie Smith of his duties. He didn't even make it home from his final game of his 3-13-1 season with the Texans. Cal McNair said in a statement, while we understand the results have not been, well, you know what? Can I play the sound? I forgot I had a sound clip to set this whole thing up. So forget everything that I just said about Lovie and Cal and everybody else, and let's just listen to Lovie in his press conference after the win. Yep, I said win yesterday. He was not. See, that's how it was supposed to start. That's how I was supposed to start the segment, and I blew it. I had a chance to have a moment, and I blew it.
Normally, I would try to take blame for this, but yeah, it's all your fault.
Yep.
Without a doubt.
It was perfectly set up. It was right there. Here's what Lovie Smith had to say after the win over the Colts yesterday. Do I expect to be back next year? Yes, I do. He wasn't. Boom. Great radio opener. Then we talk about Lovie Smith going 3-13-1. We talk about the fact that Lovie and the Houston Texans cost themselves the first overall draft pick next year. A team that very clearly needs a quarterback is now going to get whoever's left between Stroud and Bryce Young instead of whoever they wanted between Bryce and CJ Stroud.
So he got fired because he won.
He got fired because he lost or tied 14 and then decided to win the one that they needed to lose. Decided to drop 14 games and then win the one that would have solidified the number one. You know, Zoe, you and I, courtesy of the Carolina Panthers, have had a heck of a lot of discussions about the concept of tanking across the National Football League this year. And I think for the most part, both you and I have said that tanking is something that logically and rationally makes sense for the betterment of a football team. But competitively, nobody's going to want to do it, right?
I felt dirty yesterday because I did not want Carolina to win. And
you weren't alone.
And I'm just like, first of all, again, sitting through that game was rough.
Yeah, I deserve hazard pay for
it was not good.
Both as a Saints fan and a Panthers reporter, I deserve hazard pay for sitting through that game.
And then how it ended. It's like, yeah, really?
Let's go to the highlights of that game.
Sam Darnold kept saying, don't worry, I'm going to lose it for us, coach. I'm going to lose it for us, coach. I'm going to lose it for. Oh, no.
5 of 15 for 43 yards, 2 interceptions, and won the game.
Don't forget, he fumbled in the end zone
and
got lucky, and Michael Jordan recovered the end zone. Boy, they made a big deal out of that.
Yeah, the GOAT argument's over. Michael Jordan now has more NFL NFL touchdowns than LeBron does.
For now.
So that tweeted out a few million times yesterday. Sam Darnold went 5 of 15 for 43 yards. And by the way, Lonzo, if you think that's frustrating as a Carolina Panthers fan, put yourself in my shoes as a fan yesterday. I watched an opposing quarterback come into my building, go 5 of 15, throw 2 interceptions, and fumble the ball in the red zone, and win. And win the game.
It's pretty bad with New Orleans having a winning streak going on to come in. And
you beat Philly in their house a week ago, and then you win. I texted the Madre, because we, I was looking up the number to therapists yesterday afternoon at the end of that game. I was texting back and forth with the Madre, and I said, this is the first time since 2004, 2005 that I'm glad the season is over, right? We got to go, ladies and gentlemen, for about the next, 33 weeks without National Football League football, without Saints games, 33. Carolina fans, y'all too, although the difference is, Zoe, I got about 15 different reasons to be optimistic if I'm a Carolina fan, right? I got a lot of reason to be optimistic. I got a guy that's potentially a Hall of Famer at cornerback. I've got a running back duo and a really good running back draft class coming up. I've built an offensive line with, for the most part, younger guys, but certainly guys that want to be there. I've got some options at head coach on the table that I'm happy with. I got a good young wide receiver core that wants to be there. I got a defensive monster front 7. What are the Saints? We are garbage, man. It was the first time since genuinely 05. Because 05 was the year that the Saints had to play in Baton Rouge, right? At LSU Stadium because the Superdome was blown up. First time since 2005 that game ended yesterday, and after I shouted my 22 to 25 obscenities, I was like, all right, babe, going to Walmart, picking up the grocery order. I'll be back. She's like, are you good? I'm like, yeah, I'm great. Football's over. I don't have to watch that BS anymore. There's a show on right now, Zoe, called Dr. Pimple Popper. Correct response.
Yeah. It's why are you watching that? I don't get it.
There are 2 shows.
And women really like
they
watching.
love it.
I don't understand.
There are 2 shows on right now that if I come home and the lady friend's watching them, I'm like, I'm going to the back room. I'm closing the door. Text me when it's over. And if you text me it's over and I come out and it's on, I will not talk to you tonight. Dr. Pimple Popper. And I can't remember the name of the other one, but it's about a foot doctor, right? You want to talk about hell for me? It's a foot doctor. And not foot doctor like you go in and he stands you on one of those plates and he's like, okay, well, you got a flat foot and there's a little too much weight on the inside, so we're going to give you the... No. This foot doctor is for people who have feet that are like... Watching the Saints play yesterday against the Panthers, I had the exact same feelings as when I come into the living room and the lady friend's watching Dr. Pimple Popper. Why is this on television? Who wants to watch this? Why is anyone watching this? At least Carolina's got a reason to be optimistic.
Okay, I just saw something that Mark Ryan posted. Did Mark Ryan actually go to Monster Jam?
Did he? I almost went.
Yeah, but it's just I
just like the idea of Mark in public.
There's just
Good for him.
something wrong with the world right now. Because
Monster Jam's fun, dude.
No. I'm not saying it's not.
Okay.
I just don't picture him at Monster Jam. That's just all. I mean, becoming a man of the people. Go you.
I'm glad to hear it. All right. Let me throw this out.
I just hope he was listening. I'm looking for that strongly worded email. I didn't get it last year.
Let me get one more in here. There's another sound clip on that roster, Lonzo. Ladies and gentlemen, last night the Detroit freaking Lions knocked off Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Now, Detroit had already been eliminated from playoff consideration before that game started. Seattle had already locked up a seed, and then basically for the Packers, it was winning in, right? The Green Bay Packers lost to the Detroit Lions at home in Lambeau. Game's over, and you've got Collinsworth and Tirico calling the game. And they are talking about the fact that the Packers are stunned. The fans are stunned. The Detroit Lions have come in and knocked them off. But it wasn't that caught my attention. Instead, towards the end of this clip, about 12 seconds in, you are going to hear the voice of Aaron Rodgers of the football, A-Rod of the football persuasion. Aaron Rodgers, quarterback, ... formerly, ? of the Green Bay Packers. And here's why. Josh Jacobs comes over and asks him for his jersey. You can hear the response of Aaron Rodgers. Listen to this clip. If you didn't catch it, A-Rod got asked for his jersey. Now, the trading of jerseys is a tradition that really, for the most part, comes from soccer, players who played against each other.
Really? You're gonna put it back to soccer? I mean,
That's where it comes from.
Can we pinpoint exactly when that happened?
No, it's just a long-standing soccer tradition.
It's a long-standing NFL tradition also.
Of the last handful of years?
And college.
Sure.
It's been more than a couple of years.
This is a soccer tradition. You may attempt to
I need documentation.
To nose up in the air. Either way, regardless of where it comes from, it is a tradition in some sports.
Don't try to mix your football with my football.
Football is life for competitors. At the end of a game that has some meaning to it, regardless of whatever meaning it is, to trade jerseys, right? So one of the Lions players comes over and asks Aaron Rodgers to trade jerseys with him. And if you missed it in that clip, Aaron Rodgers says to him, picked up by the television cameras, I'm going to have to hang on to this one. Why would Aaron Rodgers say that? This was a loss. It was a loss that bounced them to the playoffs. It was a loss that bounced them to the playoffs to a division rival. It was a loss that bounced him from the playoffs to a division rival in his own house. Why would A-Rod give a Rudy Patootie about that jersey? Lonzo, it's because that's the last time Aaron Rodgers is wearing that jersey.
Either because he's retiring or because he's moving somewhere else. It really does sound that way.
Yep.
But in the emotion of the moment, maybe he changes his mind.
Nope. Because I don't think it's up to him anymore either. They were good. They went to the press conference afterwards. And by the way, Aaron Rodgers was crap in that game. He was bad in that game. If that was his final game as a Packer, what a terrible way to walk off. But whatever. It's football. It's going to happen. In the press conference afterwards, A-Rod came out in his new age yoga guru setup, sat behind the mic. They said, "Are you back?" And A-Rod said, "Well, I want to give it a little time. I want the emotion of the game to wear off. I don't want this to be a decision that I make based on emotion. I want to make sure that this is a decision not made by emotion, but made for the best of both me and the club." And of course, reporters kept peppering him with that question over and over and over. And he just kept going with, there's a lot of decisions that get made. I got to let the emotion of the game go away. And then me and ownership, me and management are going to sit together, and we got a lot to talk about. Aaron Rodgers is done as a Packer. He's not keeping that jersey after getting wrecked by Detroit and bouncing his own team out. He's not keeping that jersey if it's anything less than the last time I pulled on the green number 12. Anything else from the NFL jump out at you this weekend, Zoe? It was a hell of an NFL weekend. But so far, Bloody Monday has been relatively quiet.
There are a bunch of rumors about coaches that are being interviewed right now.
Yep.
Including Dan Quinn, of course, Harbaugh, and offensive and defensive coordinators starting to pop up right now for a bunch of different teams.
Dan Quinn's name has been mentioned, as Lonzo pointed out, a lot of times. Sean Payton did get permission from the New Orleans. Well, I guess Denver got permission from the Saints to interview Sean Payton over the weekend. Listen, why is New Orleans doing that? Sean Payton's not coming back to New Orleans. They are in cap hell. They are in trouble. All of the chickens have come home to roost. Saints are in trouble for like a couple of years.
I don't know how Denver's much better, but
because they have their quarterback. Even if they paid a quarter bill for him, because Russ had some moments this week and last week, right? The Saints are going to let anybody who wants to interview Sean, because the more teams he interviews with, the higher the price goes up for him. Denver right now is rumored to be interviewing the big three: Dan Quinn, Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh. Carolina, from what we've seen reported so far, is set to interview Steve Wilks, Frank Reich, the old Indianapolis Colts head coach, and I have seen the rumors of Dan Quinn potentially working out for Carolina as well. I genuinely don't know of those three. If Harbaugh and Payton are off the table for Carolina, I don't know which of those three I want. Right? But I'm leaning Wilks. But here's the thing. I thought about this yesterday. Wilks did what Lonzo asked him to do 7 weeks ago. He got more wins than Matt Rule in a single season, and he did it with 6 fewer games.
I was waiting. I figured this would come up during the podcast, but
and it will.
2 hours and nearly 20 minutes before it came up.
And it will. Wilks beat Matt Rule's single season win total, and he did it with, 5 fewer games than Matt Rule got.
Wow.
Right? Yes, wow. Higher win percentage. But
he won 6. Let's give him a job.
But win number 6 was arguably the worst NFL game of the year. If it wasn't the worst NFL year of the game, it may have only slightly been edged out by the Miami-New York 11-6, but it wasn't. It was actually a 6-9 field goal fest. But hey, at least they had multiple field goals in that game, right? Worst game of the year, but it did get Steve Wilks to 6-6, 500, where the Panthers haven't been in a number of years. Does Frank Reich and what happened that got him out of Indy attract you more? Does Dan Quinn and what happened with him in Atlanta attract you more? Do you want to retread that? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's ugly. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we will have our final discussion. Texas. Skrilla said, what about Lovie Smith? Nope. Didn't think Houston should have got him. He was a stopgap. That's why I said before the season started, Lovey ain't making it into year 2. Guaranteed. Here we are. Take a break. When we come back, we put our final thoughts together on the College Football National Championship. What can TCU do to win this game? I will tell you when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, got a live read. First one of the year. Stay right there. We'll be right back. this national championship discussion, shall we? Georgia TCU. By the way, still taking your score predictions here on the show. Got the list right here. Writing down names. If you pick the correct score or are the closest listener to it, you will get an extended call on the show. You will get to call in. You will get to discuss whatever you want to discuss. No politics. And if Lonzo dumps you, he dumps your call as well. But you will not get the traditional 45 seconds and then you're out. You'll get to basically sit in and have a conversation with us on the phone. Or StreamYard. No, well, we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Either way.
That right there is risky.
Yeah, on the phone. Let's just make my life easier. On the phone. If you get closest to the score, you'll get an extended phone call on the show with Zoe and I to discuss whatever you want to discuss and hang out with us. The last 6 scores that have come in on the text line, including the last 3 from Bray, Jerry, and Lee, and Shane, have all picked TCU. Oh, Thomas texted in. He picked TCU as well. There's your 5. The last 5 picks going with the Horned Frogs.
You haven't asked me, but that's fine.
Well, that's what we're doing this segment.
Okay, because, you gave yours earlier, and then you never asked me. So I didn't want to interrupt. I'm trying to do better in 2023.
New Year's resolution. Make that one guy on the phone calls happier. TCU, Kennan will score points. Okay. I do not expect a blowout. We have had of the folks who have picked Georgia, it was a lot of Georgia picks up front. Now a lot of TCU picks. Of the folks who have picked the Georgia Bulldogs, the majority of them, with a couple of exceptions, are picking them by 2 scores or more, right? Even my man Kevin, who graced us with the tagline, going ham at 9 a.m., was in here talking about how he wants a close game. He's pulling for a close game. And he's right, by the way, after the semifinals, which were remarkable. Yeah, I would love a great night. Give us the best playoff year we've ever had. 2 incredible semis followed up by an incredible championship game will be fantastic. And then I said, what's your score? And Kevin said 47-33 Georgia. It's a blowout, man. I would say in a natty, 14 points is a blowout, right? A 2-score game, for me, qualifies as a blowout. Philip just texted in. Philip's going 41-38 TCU. The TCU folks are picking the Horned Frogs by like 3 to 5. The Georgia folks are picking the Dogs by 2 scores or better. So who you got? Who you going with? Who's your pick? Georgia is going to see TCU score some points. I have no doubt about that. The question mark is going to be, does Georgia lean on the accelerator? Do they go full tilt, sell out, throw the ball all over the field? Georgia should play the game the way that people think TCU will play the game. Just assault them offensively. They go light box, and part of the reason why is they want you. They want to bait you into running the ball. Why? Because their defensive backs are mediocre average. And the more you throw the ball at them, the more that becomes exposed. Now, they had a really good game against J.J. McCarthy in Michigan. Michigan tried to get too fancy. When I say throw the ball, I'm not talking about big, long, complicated plays, right? I don't need Bennett hanging in the pocket 5, 6, 7 seconds waiting for a complicated route tree to develop between 3 or 4 different receivers. I'm talking throw 4, 5, 6, 7-yard outs, ins, slants, post, stop and goes, comebacks. Just a simple, passing-oriented offensive game plan expose TCU's defensive backs. Don't let their pass rush get to you. Play disciplined football, and Georgia should win this game. I got the Dogs 45-38, Lonzo.
I've listened to you talk about this the entire show. I've been trying to think. I mean, the easy pick is to go with Georgia. It really is, because, on paper, Georgia should win. But on paper, TCU shouldn't be where they are. I don't necessarily believe in teams' destiny, but I will if TCU wins this game. And I'm going to go 38-34 TCU.
38-34 TCU. What is it that TCU does in this one that gets them over the hump?
Score a lot of points.
Thanks, Lonzo.
Don't expect in-depth analysis.
Incredible contributions to the show from guys like you.
Yeah, well, what do you mean, guys like me? Anyway, you knew the expectations for today's show before we came in. Did you really expect anything in depth in my answer? I'm struggling here, but no, I just both teams score a lot of points. I just believe that TCU is going to score more. I know but that's what I'm going with.
How does TCU score more points in this game? Number one, you just have to have a better game out of Max Duggan against Michigan, who, by the way, got after J.J. McCarthy more than he had been gotten after all year, and that included Ohio State in the final match of the regular season in the Big Ten. Ohio State did not get after Ohio State did not get after McCarthy like TCU did, but it wasn't by just bull rush blitzing at the point of attack. TCU got after McCarthy by throwing varied looks at him. Look at the 2 pick sixes, right? On the first pick six, on the second Michigan possession, that pick six happened for one reason and one reason alone. That pick six happened because they brought pressure off the backside but did not show it. McCarthy saw that. Off the front side. McCarthy saw that, and typically, and you'll see this every time a play-by-play guy goes with a telestrator, right? Typically what you'll see is if you have outside pressure coming, right? I'm talking pressure from outside the tackle box out wide. If you have outside pressure coming, they're obviously a defender down on that side of the field. And what you'll do in that spot is now you just got to see where's the hole in the field the defender left. If it's man, it means that somebody out there does not have help. That's what Brady did to Carolina on that third Mike Evans touchdown that I broke down on the Facebook page. He recognized that there was no help for C.J. Henderson on Mike Evans. He threw it over the top. The other option is if it's in a zone, it means there's going to be a hole. May not be a big one, but there's going to be a hole in that zone somewhere over where the blitz is coming from. Identify it, hit it. They brought an outside rusher in that direction. J.J. McCarthy looked over there, thought he found the hole, but they had actually rotated one of the 3 linebackers back. The safety came up. The cornerback was able to sit in between. McCarthy didn't see him. He just saw the safety coming up, thought he had time to squeeze the ball in there. Guy jumps the route, gets in between pick six. Same thing, but the other side with the second one. For TCU to win, they have got to throw different looks defensively at Stetson Bennett. Show him looks he hasn't seen yet. It's not enough to just disguise a coverage and hope he gets it wrong. Stet Bennett is very, very good at recognizing coverages, diagnosing coverages, and finding where the gap in the coverage is going to be. You have to throw him coverage looks that he hasn't seen before. You can't just sit back, play a cover 2 out of the nickel with an extra CB and think that's going to be enough. It won't. He's seen it. You got to bring pressure off the edges, extra A-gap blitzes and stunt your ends to the outside. Make Step believe there are holes in the defense where there aren't and cover them up and create turnovers, or worst case scenario, knock a handful of balls into the dirt and get yourself off the field on third down. Offensively, Duggan's got to do better. They have got to run the ball enough to keep Georgia from dropping extra linebackers back and making Duggan's job tougher. The more you allow Georgia to bring guys at the point of attack, the more you allow Georgia to get after you at the line with a standard four-man front, the less they're going to need to bring the extra pressure. They're going to drop guys back. Then they can start being creative defensively with the way they look at things. And now Max Duggan's doing what happened against Michigan and throwing for less than 50%. As good as the defense was against Michigan, I can't bank on it being that good, at least in terms of creating turnovers against the Georgia Bulldogs. Which means that, much like they would have had to have done if they did not get the 2 pick sixes, they've got to have those stops, right? Both those pick sixes changed the game. If Michigan even gets one of those through the uprights instead of 7 the other way, Michigan wins that game, and we're talking Michigan-Georgia today. I don't know if TCU can create those turnovers against Georgia like they did Michigan, because I don't think that they're going to throw a lot of looks at Stet Bennett that he won't be able to figure out. McCarthy's a fine little quarterback at Michigan. Bennett, I think, reads defenses better. And Bennett, if nothing else, and I hate saying this because it's kind of one of those things that it's like you should be able to diagnose why, but Stet Bennett plays better when the pressure's on him. He's bizarro world Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers somehow lowers the bar when the pressure's on. Stet Bennett raises it every time. Offensively for TCU, Kendre's got to get in the mix. You've got to be able to run the ball, not a lot, but consistently and efficiently when you do. You still need to be able to move the ball through the air. But if you're TCU, you need to convince them that 4 down linemen is not enough to stop us. You have to keep those linebackers home so you can work receivers over the middle of the field. You've got to keep Georgia playing press coverage on the outside so that you can create speed mismatches on the outside. And you've got to do all those things consistently, because the minute you allow Georgia to start thumping you on the outside and dropping guys back into different coverages, now you're asking Duggan to have to do more. And yes, I do expect that a Heisman Trophy finalist can perform against the best defense he's faced all year, but not if 4 down linemen take the run game away. Not if 4 down linemen make Georgia believe, hey, this is enough. We don't need to send extra guys. We can keep a spy on Duggan, a spy on the RB, rush 4, and they can't do anything. That's how it breaks down to me. Real quick, before we get out of here for a break, we do have a little bit. In fact, Zoe, I think you can get the glass ready if it's readily available, because we do have a little bit of breaking news here on the show. And that breaking news is brought to you by our friends at BetQL. Be a better, be smarter, and beat the books with BetQL. Get the BetQL app now and listen to all the BetQL content live on the Odyssey app. It has been announced by the Greenville Triumph just a little over a half an hour ago that the Triumph and the Greenville Liberty this year will have a new home. This year, the Greenville Triumph and Greenville Liberty will play their home matches at Furman University's Paladin Stadium. They will be leaving Legacy Early College. They are continuing, and I hope that this comes through personally, continuing to work on getting a permanent soccer dedicated facility somewhere in or around the Ville, but they needed somewhere to play their games this year, and it has just been announced that the Triumph and Liberty will play their home matches at Furman University's Paladin Stadium, in 2023. Chris Lewis, friend of the show, friend of mine, said, quote, "We are proud to call Furman University the official match home of the Triumph and Liberty. Furman has been a fantastic partner as the training site for the Liberty. Furman's sophisticated athletic facilities, resources, and core values make it a perfect fit for our organization, and playing our home matches at the stadium only builds on that relationship," end quote. So, that's big. I think it's great. I think it's great for the Triumph and Liberty. I think it's great for Furman to welcome some big level pro soccer in there. It is going to get attention for Furman when we broadcast games on ESPN Plus, ESPN2, when we get to the USL League One Championship, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's a big move. It's a great opportunity, and it is yet one more example of how good the sporting culture is in the upstate. That you have got a Furman Paladin organization recognized nationally for the excellence in their sports tradition over the years that is now welcoming in one of the most dominant teams in USL League One to come play their footy at a beautiful campus in a beautiful stadium. That's big time, man. Good for the Triumph. Good for the Liberty. Cannot wait to be out there with the Reedy River Riot in the new digs. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we'll wrap up what your phone calls or your text or your tweets before we get out of here. You got one segment left to get in your score predictions for this evening's matchup between the Georgia Bulldogs and TCU. The Horned Frogs looking for their first national title since 1938. The Dogs looking to go back-to-back, first back-to-back champ since 2011-2012. I want your score. Text it 71307. Start it with fan. Put your score, your winner, your name. Closest to the final score with a correct winner will get an extended phone call later in the week. We wrap up the show after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Oh.
Sunday, the Dolphins host the Bills, the Vikings host the Giants, the Ravens on the road to Cincinnati. One game on Monday night, the Cowboys visit the Buccaneers. The Eagles and Chiefs earned first-round byes. In the AFC, the Bills eliminated the Patriots Sunday. The Steelers beat the Browns, but they were eliminated when the Jets beat the Dolphins. The Jaguars eliminated the Titans. In the NFC, the Lions eliminated the Packers Sunday night. Detroit needed the Rams to beat the Seahawks, but that didn't happen. The Bears will get the #1 pick in this year's draft after losing to Minnesota. The Texans could have drafted first overall, but they beat the Colts on Sunday. Houston then fired head coach Lovie Smith after just one season. Catch every Carolina Panthers game live on Classic Rock 101.1. Download the Odyssey app and search the Fan Upstate and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate. I'm Chris Rose with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. After an emotional week, the Bills beat the Patriots by 12 on the strength of two Naheem Hines kickoff return touchdowns. The Patriots' loss opened the door for the Dolphins, who clinched the final playoff spot in the AFC with an 11-6 win over the Jets. Buffalo will host Miami next weekend in Super Wild Card Weekend. The Bengals topped the Ravens 27-16, setting up a wild card rematch between those.
Burn it down, now.
I can't use that stuff, Kevin, because it makes my nose bleed. And I can't take regular allergy medicine or other stuff, because if I do, I will fall asleep. So I have to wait till I go home from work before I can take anything. And the boss just told me I needed a haircut.
He did. I heard that.
And Rob heard it. I think it's jealousy, but
and who wouldn't be?
If you thought that through, you'd see why I'm not expounding upon it. Because he doesn't have any hair, you know. He's bald.
and chase him down. That big old cash cow.
I can handle the drainage thing. It's the headache that's the biggest problem.
File for free with TaxSlayer Simply Free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File.
And Rob hurt my feelings because I didn't go in depth as to why someone's going to win a game.
You sounded so confident. I thought you had some.
No, it's just that level of bass I get when my nose is draining. That's all. It's not quite Matthew Causey level, but getting pretty low down in there.
We're still obsessed with giving you a quality shave experience. Sharper blades, a better lubricating strip, and making our handle grippy in all the right places. All upgrades based on your feedback. And it all comes at a great price. Seriously, as low as $2 per person.
I had planned on getting a haircut this week, but with
But now you're not going to?
No. I don't care about that. He was just joking with me anyway, probably. He might have been serious. I don't know. But coughing is not a good idea when you go get a haircut.
No.
Yeah, so that will lead to a shorter haircut than you planned on getting. I don't know what X-Clear is, but if Vicks makes nasal spray, I might give that a shot. I'm a big fan of the Vapor Rub. I'm disappointed they have strips and stuff. You got to put big old globs of Vapor Rub on your nose and on your chest. I might check that out. Thanks, Roger. Probably won't make my eyes water any more than they already are. That's weird even for you, Kevin.
Even for you. All right, final segment of the Rob Brown Show on National Championship Monday is underway. TCU and Georgia getting it on tonight. We will, of course, have breakdown of that game and its conclusion on tomorrow's show. We will also, of course, really start diving down into our NFL first round playoff matchups as well. And one of my favorite times of year, although I will be potentially asked to leave because of it, we start turning our attention towards shooty hoops, ladies and gentlemen. How about your Clemson Tigers going on the road to Pittsburgh on Saturday night and getting another dub? Best start in the ACC since the 96 season. Pretty spectacular start to the conference run for Clemson. And, of course, in the NBA, things are good as well, unless you're a Pelicans fan, but that's another discussion for another time. Real quick, before we hit Twitter trending topics, I have to get this one out. Zoe, did you see the story about Bernie Kosar over the weekend?
No, I did not.
Pretty amazing. Bernie Kosar, who is, if I ask you to name all the great Cleveland Browns, most of you would get Bernie Kosar and very few others.
Maybe like Brian Sipe. And
you got me.
Yeah, but Kosar would be the guy.
Kosar's the guy. Bernie Kosar was one of the hosts of the Cleveland Browns pre- and post-game show, and they took him off the air this weekend. Why? Sports gambling just became legal in the state of Ohio. Bernie Kosar admitted on the show that he put down money for the Browns to beat the Steelers in their last matchup, and the Browns decided that that was the line of behavior for Cleveland that's unacceptable. Not the guy accused of dozens of sexual assaults playing quarterback for you, but the guy that put down money, who is unaffiliated with the operations of the football team, who just does radio. He got let go by the Cleveland Browns because he gambled on the Cleveland Browns. Not a coach, not a player, just a guy. Good job, Browns. The Browns should change their name, Lonzo, just because they offend me at this point.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
Maybe they were just looking for a reason to get rid of Bernie. Maybe he was bad on the air. I don't know. All right, so time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I try to focus for 1.5 minutes. We'll see how I do. The first thing that's trending is Dan Campbell.
Dan freaking Campbell, who did not make the playoffs, but they asked him after the game. They're like, hey, you knew about 25 minutes before kickoff that you were bounced from the playoffs. What was this game about for you? And he said, our mindset was, if we can't go, neither can they.
Yeah, it was, I heard him say that. I'm like, that's messed up. It's also, I like that.
I ain't mad at it.
Yeah. All right. The next thing is trending is Chris Jericho.
Break the walls down. I do not know why he's trending this particular moment. I do know that I guess on Wednesday we're going to get another Jericho Appreciation Society moment. Very often, Lonzo, I tell wrestling fans, hey man, like if you don't like something, just sit back and wait 12 minutes. There's another segment around the corner, but kind of running out of time on the Jericho Appreciation Society for me. I like Jericho. I'm not anti-Jericho, but the concept of what they're doing is we've done it. We've done it like 12 times.
Well, the entire society showed up on PWG this week.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting.
There's some video out there. I don't think he won, but I didn't see the end results, but he showed up on that. The next thing that's trending, because we've talked about all the football stuff, is The Rock.
So, again, don't know if this is why he's trending. Obviously, the popular thought as we quickly approach the Royal Rumble in a couple of weeks, and then we're on the road to WrestleMania, is the belief that someone will win the Royal Rumble, will take one of the belts off of Roman, and then The Rock will show up to main event WrestleMania with Roman Reigns to either make him officially the final boss of this era or to end the bloodline. I don't know. It's almost like too predictable for that, right? I mean, it doesn't mean they won't do it.
Or Kevin Owens could actually beat him. And the Sammy swerve will happen. And
no, my bet is,
I don't know if you saw Friday night, he actually apologized to Sammy for yelling at him and stuff. It was weird.
Yeah, that's fine. KO's going to have Roman beat. Sammy's going to interfere. Roman's going to win. We'll get a Sammy v KO match at WrestleMania. No holds barred. And then we'll get The Rock v Roman.
I don't care. WrestleMania, I can't wait for highest gate ever. They just set out a record.
Over the Rumble? I love the Rumble.
The
Rumble's
no.
my favorite event of the year.
The Rumble is the only pay-per-view I've ever went to.
Yeah.
It was in Atlanta, and it was like 20 years ago. Got to see The Undertaker fighting Maven on the same level of seats we were, like through the doorway on the other across the arena. It was awesome.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you 2 minutes after the show goes off the air to get your final scores in. 71307. Start your text with fan. Send me your score, your winner, and your name, and we'll see who gets to come on the air with me and do an extended phone call at the end of the week. I'll give you 2 minutes after we go off the air. Have a great rest of your day. We'll break that game down tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later, brother.
Hey, I made it all the way to the last thing before I hit the wrong button. Well,
you
I
guys
know,
are the
sick
best.
Monday.
Thank y'all for watching. We will see you tomorrow for the full breakdown of the game. Have a lovely rest of your Monday. Goodbye.